The curious case of Count Alessandro di Cagliostro, alchemist, charlatan, and master of illusion. In the candlelit salons and shadowy alleyways of 18th century Europe, there was no name more whispered or more feared than that of Count Alessandro di Cagliostro. Magician, healer, alchemist, and notorious charlatan, he promised gold from lead and youth from age, dazzling kings and conning commoners alike. But beneath the swirling incense and mystical incantations lay the heart of a consummate trickster, the man born Giuseppe Balsamo, whose life would become one of the most spectacular tales of deception in history. From street schemes to secrets of the occult, Giuseppe Balsamo entered the world in 1743 in the teeming slums of Palermo, Sicily, a city as famous for its poverty as its palaces. His father's early death plunged the family into destitution, forcing the young Giuseppe to rely on his wits and cunning just to survive. Even as a child, he was drawn to the strange and the secret. He haunted Palermo's backstreets, learning from fortune-tellers, herbalists, and petty criminals. His first notorious con came as a teenager. Apprenticed to a goldsmith, Balsamo spun a tale of a hidden treasure, guarded by demons, lying in a cave outside the city. Luring the goldsmith with promises of unimaginable wealth, he orchestrated an elaborate charade. A troop of goatherds disguised as demons leapt from the shadows as he pocketed the goldsmith's investment and fled, leaving the man shivering and alone in the Sicilian night. This mixture of charm, audacity, and theatrical flair would become Balsamo's trademark. Soon he was running with forgers, fornicators, and frauds, learning the arts of deception, but always with an eye on something bigger, to becoming Count Alessandro di Cagliostro. In the 1760s, Balsamo left Sicily for the wider world. He traveled to Messina, then to Malta, where he claimed to study alchemy and the mystical rites of the Knights of Malta. Like so many of his tales, the truth is murky. Was he a student of the supernatural or simply a keen observer of what the credulous wanted to believe? What is certain is that by the time he reached Rome, Balsamo had transformed himself utterly. Adopting the name Count Alessandro di Cagliostro, he emerged as a man of wealth, culture, and mysterious origins. He dressed in luxurious silks, wore rings on every finger, and radiated an aura of exotic knowledge. He claimed to have traveled the East, to possess secrets from Egypt and Persia, to hold the keys to the philosopher's stone itself. It was in Rome that he met the beautiful Lorenza Feliciani, whom he married. Lorenza, who would become known as Serafina, was more than a wife. She was a full partner in his growing empire of illusion. Together they crafted a persona that enchanted and bewildered the great and the gullible across Europe. 3. The European Tour: Magic, Mystery, and Scandal. For the next 2 decades, Cagliostro and Serafina crisscrossed the continent, leaving a trail of awe, suspicion, and scandal. In London, Paris, St. Petersburg, and Vienna, Cagliostro presented himself as a healer, a mesmerist, and a master of the occult. He performed miraculous cures using mysterious potions and mesmerism, an early form of hypnotism. He hosted seances, conjuring the spirits of the dead, and peddled elixirs that promised to restore youth, beauty, and even grant immortality. His reputation as a sorcerer flourished. He gathered followers, founded mystical societies, and claimed to possess the original rituals of the ancient Egyptian Freemasons. Nobles and royals sought his counsel. In Paris, he dazzled the court of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, while in St. Petersburg, Catherine the Great herself was curious, if wary. Yet scandal was never far behind. In London, he was arrested for fraud and forgery. In Strasbourg, his miraculous cures were denounced as dangerous quackery. But each time he slipped from the grasp of the authorities, moving on to new cities and new marks. 4. The Affair of the Diamond Necklace. Cagliostro's most infamous brush with history came in 1785, in the midst of a scandal that would help topple the French monarchy. The Affair of the Diamond Necklace. The story had all the trappings of a Gothic novel: greed, lust, and betrayal at the highest levels of court. Countess Jeanne de la Motte, a notorious adventuress, enlisted Cagliostro as help to swindle the Cardinal de Rohan into believing that Queen Marie Antoinette wished to purchase an extravagant diamond necklace and had chosen him as her agent. Cagliostro's role was murky. He claimed innocence, but the courts were not convinced. He was arrested and thrown into the Bastille, enduring 9 months of imprisonment. The trial was a sensation. Cagliostro, ever the showman, turned public opinion in his favor, painting himself as a misunderstood mystic. He was eventually acquitted and released, but banished from France. The scandal, however, would stain his name forever. Vie at the fall, betrayal, heresy, and imprisonment. Cagliostro's wanderings continued, but the net was closing. In Rome, the Inquisition watched him closely. He was accused not just of fraud, but of heresy and blasphemy. Serious charges in an age when the Church's power was absolute. His greatest betrayal came from within. Serafina, exhausted by years of deception and perhaps seeking her own salvation, testified against her husband. She revealed secrets of their rituals, their forgeries, and their blasphemous claims of supernatural power. Cagliostro was sentenced to death, but the Pope intervened, commuting his sentence to life imprisonment. He spent his final years in the fortress of San Leo, confined to a tiny cell, denied even pen and paper. According to some accounts, he died in 1795, his mind unhinged, his last days haunted by visions and regrets. 6. The legend lives on. Count Alessandro di Cagliostro's legacy is as mysterious as his life. Was he a master magician, a healer, a visionary, or simply one of history's greatest charlatans? To his followers, he was a prophet and a martyr, persecuted for his wisdom and punished for challenging the powers that be. To his enemies, he was the very embodiment of fraud, a man who preyed on the hopes and fears of an age obsessed with secrets. Cagliostro's story has inspired novels, operas, and films. Alexandre Dumas painted him as a pivotal figure in his tales of intrigue. Mozart's librettist worked him into the world of the magic flute. Even today, his name is a byword for deception and illusion. The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. Giuseppe Balsamo, Count Alessandro di Cagliostro, was a man of extraordinary intelligence and imagination. He understood better than most the hunger for wonder that lies in every heart. He gave people what they wanted: hope, mystery, and the promise of something more. 7. Lessons from the Count Cagliostro's rise and fall is both a warning and an invitation. It reminds us that the line between genius and fraud, between healer and charlatan, is often razor thin. In an age of uncertainty and upheaval, he offered comfort in the form of magic and exploited the credulous for his own gain. Yet his story is also a testament to the enduring power of belief. The same forces that propelled Cagliostro to fame, curiosity, hope, and the eternal desire to glimpse behind the veil of the ordinary, are still with us today. In the end, Count Alessandro di Cagliostro remains a riddle, wrapped in silk and shadow, forever dancing at the edge of truth and illusion. Whether you see him as a villain or a visionary, his life proves that sometimes the greatest magic of all is the power to make others believe.